In front of a door. She's standing in front of a door. The heater wouldn't be so good under there. She might have toasty toes, though. Yep. Yeah, her chair's over the cord. There's an octopus. The carpet is tipped up at the corner as just in front of the door so somebody can trip. The man's probably going to trip on that cup. He's probably not carrying that box properly. Looks heavy. And what about that wonderful shelf up there on the wall? So this we try and sometimes include a little humor, some colors, some interesting things so it's not so boring. And we also have answers included for the practitioner. Oops. Well, who wants to try and think them up? There's a lot of activities in these occupational curricula. You don't want to find all the answers yourself. So the last thing I want to mention about the process is that although these were developed in Ontario, and some of the material is based in Ontario, we tried to make the research across Canada, and we tried to make references to other jurisdictions or where the learner, practitioner can find the information. So if we've done something that has to do with the Ontario labour laws, then we would say you should look on where you would look in your province for labour information. It's kind of, yes?
The apprenticeship curriculum, is it specific for the different trades or is it general?
It's general. It has referrals all the way through to various trades, but it covers a wider range. It's discussing the overall idea of apprenticeship and skills that we researched and put them into a spreadsheet. All of the essential skills that were needed by all of the trades that we were covering and that needed less than grade 10 in Ontario, and looked at what was the most important and made sure we covered those. And we also looked at what's called ERAT. I don't know how many of you are familiar with ERAT. It's, I wish I could explain the acronym right off the top, but it's basically educational information for apprenticeships for people that are working on towards testing in Ontario. It's not used the same anymore as it had been, but we also looked at that and the training that they said was needed. So if it was in numeracy, what exact numeracy skills did each of those trades use? So by that, we ended up accumulating what information we were going to teach. So you probably want to know what came out of all this stuff. The results. We feel that we ended up with a product that facilitates programming and can be used right off the printer. What you have in front of you, a CD, is what you get or download from NALD. In the middle of your table is one that we have actually printed out. They can be put into binders or they can be spiral bound by this. It costs between $35 and $40 to print one in color, depending on exactly how big it is. But most of us charge whoever the learner's funder is. So if it was Ontario Works Welfare, Workman's Compensation, Second Career, whatever, we include the cost so it doesn't cost us. Some programs use it as a textbook and just copy the activities for the learner to use on separate sheets so that they don't have to keep doing more. Some of us just leave it as a whole workbook that the client fills in. The learner can start immediately working towards both learning and occupational goals if the reading skills are sufficient. Again, we've written them at a certain level, but that doesn't mean that the learner can't get support with a tutor or in a group atmosphere if their reading skills are a bit less, and you can build up to what they'll need to be. There's no need to create complicated lesson plans or lists of resources for a training plan. It's right there. You say, this is what you're learning. You're working on this module. It also works with other tools such as the Ontario Skills Passport and TIES. I have a binder here, but I don't know where I've just put it. I'll explain what it is, though. The acronym, I'm not sure I can tell you, but Karen McGregor and Kingston Literacy have worked on the TIES manuals. They will be out for publication very shortly. What they've done is they've taken the essential skills profiles for the 50 most common occupations that our learners would go into, entry-level jobs. And they have put the tasks into a much easier format to look at On each of your tables, I did put an example of a ties sheet. So you might be able to kind of look for that and find it.
Excuse me, Joyce. That acronym stands for Training Incorporating Essential Skills.
Thank you. Training Incorporating Essential Skills. And it's an excellent product. We're all waiting. Some of us managed to pilot it, so we know about it, but I think it makes our lives much easier. You can just pull that out of the book of 50 and use that as a way to start setting up your training plan for your learner. The Ontario Skills Passport is also an excellent route to go. Another thing would be the Career Navigator on the job bank. If the learner doesn't know what kind of occupation they're interested in, that would be another way to try and help through it. So, results. Easy for the practitioner, you people. It's individual, self-paced, or group use. Many of the activities can be done either way. Some of the activities lend themselves more to one or the other, but there's commonalities. So most of them have stuff on thinking skills, problem solving, etc. Those are things that really work together in groups. The content suits the goals of the learner. There's no need to search for workforce material. Ongoing assessment of learners' skills happens. So where they start, you can see as they do each activity, are they improving? Have they managed to do it without assistance? It allows for insertion of just-in-time learning materials. And when I say that, if the learner is working along and they struggle with an activity, let's say something to do with math, you can pull them out of that curriculum and teach them that piece because they now know they need it. It depends on which one you have. The truck driver? That's right, because it depends on the occupation they're heading to and what the profile requires.
Okay, and does it say somewhere?
So, no, it doesn't. You'd have to refer to the profile. So the truck driver is aimed between essential skills level 2 to 3, because that's what the profile requires when they're finished. So that's what I said. Sometimes at the beginning you may have to give them some support as they work through it.
If someone completes this program and then moves on to community college, do they get any recognition as far as credits or is it into,
That would be up to the college or the school board to do.
there's no link right now?
There isn't now, but many of them request it in our region because we use them a lot at Leo. And for example, Literacy Link Eastern Ontario, when we do these, we do PSW, for example, that's the easiest thing. Our Ontario Works welfare organization in Frontenac County, for instance, doesn't let anybody take a paid PSW course at college, et cetera, unless they have done one of these first. The call centers in our community are the same. They want them to have done this as well. And Laurie will probably talk about that a bit more in a minute. So there's less learner resistance to the learning. It includes all of the essential skills. You don't have to wonder if they've missed some. There's demonstrations of learning included, some of them interspersed throughout the curriculum and some of them at the end. And there's answers in the practitioner guide. So I just have a quick look here of what the answers for one of them would look like. Sometimes, and this is more of a vague, sometimes they're exact answers, like if there was a math question, it's exact. But sometimes it says students should be able to find the website, or answers may vary depending on, and they'll explain what. So the results, how appropriate is it for the learner? The content suits the goals of the learner. The occupational information increases their interest in the learning. The skills learned in context are easily transferable to workplace or further education. The workforce material and information provides learner with a leg up. Reading sections and activities covering all the essential skills. Also, they include the life skills or the soft skills or whatever you want to call it that the employers are looking for. So getting up in the morning, making sure you have transportation, things like that. And They're written in a relaxed manner and at a reading level appropriate to the essential skills profile. Here's an activity. So that's about, I think I already covered that one. One other thing that's valuable to the learner is that there is a beginning and an end. So they have a time slot. They know when I start, this is what I'm going to have to work my way through. And I think that means a lot to the ministry and to the learners. And there are certificates available at the end. With each CD there isn't, but you can get them from Leo. Doug will email those to you if you need them. And stories. Just quickly, I won't take too long, but I would just want to tell you some of the stories of inspiration, because here we are talking about stories this week. We had one lady who was laid off from a manufacturing job. She'd been working for Brown's Shoes since she was 15 years old. She was now 50. She had a grade 6 education, and she wanted to be a PSW, personal support worker. In order to be a personal support worker, she needed to have a college diploma. So she came to us. She got some funding to do it, and she came to us. When she left us, she went on to Algonquin College and was on the dean's list. She graduated. She loves her job. She got a job that paid $24 an hour. She had never made anything like that at Brown's Shoes. She came back to us at one point while she was already taking her education because she wanted more information on how to do a presentation. So not only did she move on, but she knew how to come back and get what she needed to learn. So I think that was really valuable. We also, when we were piloting the truck driver, we had 4 clients that wanted to go on to truck driving, and they wanted second careers funding for it. So it was recommended by the employment counselor that they needed upgrading before they could get on and pass the truck driving school testing. So they took the curriculum, and when they went on, we made sure that we asked them, was it any use to them? They said, well, we were way ahead of all the rest of the class. I was scared when I was going in there that I wouldn't be able to answer the questions, I wouldn't be able to follow what the instructor had said. They all went on, finished their truck driver, and have jobs. So, I mean, those are just a couple of the inspirational stories. We really believe in occupational curriculum, obviously, or we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't keep writing them, although there's money, but... So, and the other thing is Leo's always open to whatever you might want to say about them. So just one last thing. On them, we also relate to the essential skills. This is one of the older style that we used. We had a bar at the top that had icons representing the various essential skills. On your table, I've also put something out that shows you what the icons mean. I think there might be one per table. On the newer ones, we've changed it to a blue bar at the bottom. And we've also made the learner do a bit more work. At the beginning of the curriculum, the blue has all the things checked off that they're covering in an activity. Later on, they have to try and figure it out for themselves. The answer's there for the practitioner, though, so you can always explain it to them. Did you want to say something more before we go into the activity? No, I don't know which one.
We don't have a slide for this one. I just wanted to talk just quickly about ways to integrate them into your program. A couple of suggestions. Learners may come in during initial assessment and identify a job goal on their own. They may, over time, identify a job goal. They may see another student working through something and go, oh, what's that? and want to know more about the different curriculum that we have. You may see community need and advertise and run it as a small group, because they can be worked on individually. They can be worked on with a tutor. They can be worked on in small groups, whatever you need. And they have built-in demonstrations at the end. Kingston, just want to note that Kingston Literacy and Tri-County both have partnerships with the call centers in their area, and anyone who doesn't pass the call center entrance exam gets referred back to the literacy center. So they have really good partnerships there, and I guess that's the key, is to look for partnerships within your community and see how it can work.